Hey, what's up, everybody?
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Listen, we are so glad that you guys tuned in to another episode of Let's Conversate with Josh and Sharon, where we're just real people.
Hey, dealing with real issues.
Absolutely. We are excited. Listen, you guys, we are moving right along,
That's right.
becoming all things wealth, financial freedom, relief from all debt. Oh man, just on our way to controlling and demanding our own financial stability, awareness, not owing anybody. Come on, give yourselves a round of applause. You know what I mean for all the hard work
That's
that
right.
you're putting in. Yes. So Sharon, what we talking about today?
Hey, today we're talking about the big picture.
Absolutely. We're looking at the big picture.
Yes.
The overall thing.
yeah.
Absolutely. After we have warred and tirelessly and, continuously and faithfully just been, paying off that debt,
Yes.
getting them bills behind us, anything that's not recurring bills is debt.
That's right.
Can we say that?
It's that.
Let's say it together. Anything
Anything
that's not recurring
that's not recurring
bills
bills
is debt.
that.
Absolutely. So we want to get rid of that stuff, all right? So we finna get ready to get loose here, action packed. So do me a favor. Tell somebody
To tell somebody.
that Josh and Sharon is
That's
on
right.
with another episode of Let's Conversate with Josh and Sharon.
Yes.
So let's dive right into this thing, Sharon.
Okay, let's go ahead and dive
We're
in.
gonna get on in this thing. So listen, I am so excited about where we have come.
That's right.
We moved into this year, with recovering, from the excessive and overspending for many of us, and the inflations and everything, and we're still kind of somewhat dealing with that. But we have taken charge of our own financial well-being, right?
Yeah, that's
In
right.
other words, we're not depending on the lenders and the high interest rate credit cards, and we're not depending on all that stuff to get us by. But we're more now in control of our funds. Why? Because we
We have a plan in place.
Man,
We-
absolutely.
And we're striving. We have that solution.
We have that solution.
We don't want to
Yeah.
talk about it, but this year we're putting more action with
Man,
it.
we're putting our action where our mouth is, right?
Ooh.
Right. We really getting rid of the debt, and so in this show we want to talk about after the debt is paid off, right?
That's right.
After the debt is paid off, there is a brief relief.
It is. It is.
So what do you mean about brief relief? Well, what I mean, Sharon, about brief relief is that we have worked hard, right,
Uh-huh.
to pay off debt. Mind you, in paying off the debt, um we took our bills and our debt that we owed, and we listed them from the smallest to the greatest.
That's right.
Or some of you may have chosen to do the avalanche, or another way that I have found that worked for me is to take all my debt and
Mhm.
I consolidated it with my bank
Into one.
into one debt.
That's right.
So I took and it worked because I took all my high interest rate credit card bills that I had,
And
right?
went with the lower one.
Absolutely. And I took the lowest one that I had the lowest interest rate, and I took all them other debts and I compiled it and made it one debt.
That's
So
right.
basically turned it into like a loan, a lower interest rate loan compared to those high interest rate credit card debts. So I basically did that not because I wanted a loan. I did that because I didn't want to try to keep up and keep my mind running around and keeping up with
Paying
all
the
the
different
different.
lenders.
Absolutely.
That's
So what I chose to do was to put it all in one.
Mhm.
And when I put it all in one, now I got one bill that I had to worry about, right?
That's right.
So
That's
then
right.
we chopped on that one bill and everything else was clear. So now we got to have that one bill because we consolidated it all, and now we focus on that and got that paid off, right?
That's right.
So now we have a relief. So having a relief moment is simply that I have worked hard, to pay off my debt,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
You work hard to pay off your debt. So now once you're debt free, it's almost like
A breath of fresh air.
an exhale moment. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I'm out of debt. That's a relief, you know? But cautious is what I'm asking you to be. Caution. Because let that relief be brief. Mm. Let that relief
Be brief.
be brief. Why is he saying that? Because you don't want to get in the trap of I'm out of debt. I feel good. Now I can charge a
And
car.
then going back into the same cycle you just came out of.
Been there, and we done that.
We have.
Oh man, we done paid off our debt so many times. Y'all listen. Let me just throw this out here. We don't have all the answers.
No, we do not.
We don't even try to act like we got all the
No,
answers.
we
We're just
don't.
ordinary, real people.
Dealing with real issues.
Absolutely, but we know somebody that got all the answers.
That's right.
And that's
That's
Christ Jesus.
Jesus.
So we're real people just like you are. We're not rich. We're not millionaires. We don't, these are my disclaimers. We don't have all the degrees and all that. We don't try to act like we do. We just sharing what we're walking through.
That's right.
Genuine people to our fellow brothers and sisters that want to hear, something that's working for just normal people like yourselves. We're normal, you're normal, and so we're just doing what we do.
Yes.
And we're sharing it as we go. So this is our personal story. Most of the stuff that we talk about is what
We're walking through it.
is actually what we're walking through. So we're just sharing it with you guys because it works for us. We pull a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and other people's stuff that works, and we implement it in our life and we use it and it helps. But we like to give credit to where credit due whenever we're using somebody else's, stuff. So, but anyways, so after you have gotten your relief, right? And
Yes.
after you have paid off your debt, we want you to make sure that that's just a brief relief because what we have found is that people will take that relief, and like I have done before, and feel like, okay, I done got myself out of this debt. Okay, I'm good now. So I'm back at a manageable level, right?
Okay.
And
Yes.
we really think that, oh, we got it. Well, if we really had it, right? You don't have, let me say this here, you don't have it like you think you have it. Oh, I done paid off the debt. I can manage it now. Well, if you can manage it so easy, then you would have never been in that debt from the get-go. And I'm telling you guys that it's very easy to pay off your debt. And if
And
you
go
don't,
right back into it.
absolutely, if you don't have a serious strategy of moving forward and what next to do, what comes next after paying off the debt, and you don't know what to do, or you try to skip steps and try to do other things that should be later down the road before and do that should be later down the road before the step that you really need to be on next, then you can find yourself falling back into the old same old of debt. And I have done it many a time.
Yes.
Can I get a witness?
Amen. He
So
has.
I have. It's just the truth. I have done it many a time. So so that's why I say let it be a brief relief, right?
Yes.
Let it be a brief relief. Enjoy the moment that you paid off the debt, but Sharon, there's still work that got to be done.
It does.
Absolutely. So what you got? You got something you want to share over there? So what you found on there about, because we still want to talk about, I guess we talking about consolidating and everything.
That's right.
Mhm.
So what I found was debt relief refers to measure to reduce or refinance debt in order to make it easier for the borrower to repay it.
Mhm.
Option for debt relief may entail forgiving a portion of the debt principal, lowering the interest rate, or consolidating into several debts into a lower interest loan.
It's kind of like what, and I agree with that. That's kind of what we did.
That's right.
We took,
And by the way, I found that on the internet.
yeah, we took our debt, right, and we consolidated it, and like I shared earlier, I already explained this whole situation.
That's
And
right.
instead of chasing down this debt and this debt, it can get confusing because a lot of people have a lot of credit cards.
It can.
And they have a lot of different collectors that they owe, hospital debtors, people that have bought your debt and all that kind of stuff like that from the hospitals or whatever. And you're trying to get all that stuff cleaned up because you want to just, set the record straight. It ain't, to me, let me just say this here. To me, it's not about my credit score. I could care less about the credit score, to be honest with you guys. So don't think I'm only doing it for a credit score. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. If you owe the bill, you know you owe the bill. And I haven't always been like that, to be honest with you. I used to run from bills. I'm like, man, I ain't paying that. But if you owe it, you feel better when you just get it behind you because
Yeah.
the people was
'Cause
not
you don't
going.
wanna
Mhm.
my thing is I don't like having to owe anybody. So
Right.
I like to, go ahead and pay them when I owe them.
Mhm, and I don't need people always, hounding my phone and looking, hunting me down, because I owe a debt or whatever the case may be. I feel good when the less, annoying phone calls I get, the
That's
better
right.
off I feel. People, the debt hounders hounding my phone, calling. I got to keep hanging up. I got to avoid these unknown calls. And I guarantee you, when you get rid of the debt, that debt that you owe that you've been ignoring for all these years, I guarantee you a lot of those unwanted phone calls will stop.
They
Maybe
will.
not all of them because you got solicitors still out there, that don't have anything to do with that. They want to get you in that. But that will at least reduce a number of those
It
unwanted
will.
phone
It
calls when you
will.
pay your debt. But listen, so when the debt is over, right? Because we're
That's
talking
right.
about after you done paid off your debt, what you do next, right? So
Yes.
when it's all over and you done paid it off and you got a clean slate, now you're debt free. Remember, it's a brief relief. And the brief relief is not to sit there and glorify and you done paid off that debt so much that you forget that you got another step to do here, you know, because you could glorify it too much that you could fall back into it and think that you can manage it by saying that, okay, now I got it all paid off. So now I could charge this car because I'm not going to let it get out of hand this time. And listen, you guys, it could
And that's
easily
how it
get out of hand.
starts too.
Yeah.
'Cause it starts small
Mhm.
and then it, turn into something big or major.
Absolutely, that's the truth. So so that's why we wanna just encourage you to allow it to be a moment of brief relief.
That's right.
Once you paid it off, you could sit back, you could exhale a little bit, but remember, there is still work
To do.
that got to be done. Listen, on the other side of Miss Katrina, we're gonna come back and we're gonna tell you what that work is you got to do.
Thank you for tuning in to today's podcast with Let's Conversate with Josh and Sharon. They truly appreciate your support. Thank you for following them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, subscribing to their YouTube channel. If you would like to make a contribution towards the podcast to further its reach, please feel free to do so with Cashapp $ Let's Conversate. Again, thank you for watching Let's Conversate with Josh and Sharon. Back to today's podcast.
So back on the other side of this thing, Sharon. So after you done paid off your debt, right?
Yes.
And you done had your little moment of relief and enjoyment that yes, I'm out of debt. I don't owe nobody. All that money that I have been spending, paying off this debt, paying off this debt. Now you take that same money that you have been spending, paying off that debt, and you continue to make that money work for you, right?
Yes.
Right?
You're right.
Making every dollar work for you, right? You know what I mean? So and what how you gonna make it work for you now? Okay, you don't ordered it to this battlefield over here. Oh man, God giving this to me as we go, you guys. So everything here freestyle right now. So you don't order that money to work on this battlefield, right?
Mhm.
The battlefield of debt, right?
Yeah.
All your enemies and everything. So now it done went out there and battled all your enemies, done knocked off all the predatory lenders and the investors and all the people that you owe money. These are the enemies on the battlefield. So boom, you done went out there and won the battle. Now the
Okay.
war, there's still a war that you're in, right? There's
There's
a
still a
difference
war going
between
on, huh?
the war and the battle. The war is the big picture, right? Overall
It
thing, to
is.
keep
It
you right.
is.
But there's a battle. There are battles that happen within a war,
Yeah.
right? So you just fought a battle by getting out of debt. Now you got another battle that you got to fight, in which you got to rearm yourself. And so you got to be prepared for what lies ahead, and you got to set yourself in a position so when your enemies come back at you, you'll have a stronger playing field that they can't penetrate. Your zone because with their gimmicks and their tactics of giving you loans, you don't need them for anything, right? So what's next?
Right.
Next is 3 to 6 months of
Emergency funds.
emergency funds. Yes, I know. I know y'all done heard this before, but we spelling it out as how we do it. So okay, so Josh and Sharon, first y'all told us that we coming in recovery, and January is a no spending month. That it is for
It
us. It's a
is.
no spending month.
That's
You know,
right.
you done did all your spending back in December, November, and all those holidays that came and gone. Now we done went into the new year, and now we're here in New Year for several weeks, and now it's no spending, and you done paid off your debt. There are some people still paying, and they can come back and watch these videos and use these videos to help them along. You know, and now you done paid it off or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So now there's another battle that you got to be prepared for, which is having 3 to 6 months. This is kind of like rearming yourself battle. It's not necessarily a fighting battle, but this is a battle of rearming yourself, because some people don't rearm themselves. How do you rearm yourself? You rearm yourself by saving up 3 to 6 months of emergency money, right? So,
Yes. And that consists of, your monthly expenses.
mhm, absolutely. Your monthly expenses, you want to take those monthly expenses, your reoccurring stuff,
Yes,
and
and
you
times
want
it by 6.
absolutely, it's all three. You can do
Yes.
3 months
You
or
can do 3
6 months.
or 6
Now,
months.
I'm gonna tell y'all, we think we like the 6 month thing because it sounds so much better to have it further out. But some people might not have the means, I take that back. You have the means when you pay off that debt. uh, because I ain't finna shortchange nobody on this show. Everybody have the means.
Yes,
As long as you got a job or business or income, that is your means,
it
and
is.
your means are more powerful and more um, stronger to you when you don't when your means are not being. I'm just creating stuff, y'all, as we go. So when your means are not being wounded by outside sources that you done borrowed from, and now they're predatorily putting these high interest on you and taking from your means, your income to pay them. They're taking from you every time you borrow from these folks. So when you done pay them off, now all your resources are in your hand, all your eggs in your basket,
That's
right?
right.
And
And at that point, then you'll be able to
you're right. You can resource them out,
yeah, you can
right?
put them where they need to
You're
go.
right. You could diverse them.
That's
What I
right.
mean? You can send them and send that
Directions.
send that army to fight where you needed to fight at, right? And so right now we're focusing on, building up emergency.
Emergency funds.
Mhm. And if you get 3 to 6 months, so basically, anyways, I said a lot there. I kind of went out of where I was really focusing at. Let me see if I can refocus back here. So refocusing is your 3 to 6 months. You take your recurring bills and you times them, like Sharon said, by 3 or 6 months, and that number, whether it's the 3 months or the 6 months or in between, it's 4 or 5 months. That number is what you need to save up as an emergency fund.
Yes,
So, I have called it. You guys that been following us from the beginning of our shows, I have a saying that I like to call it "life happen
that's right.
funds," because life does happen,
And with
right?
the life happens,
Mhm.
it's not, to go out and get a shirt or anything like that. It's for an emergency. You have a tire flat or your heater went out at home or a repair.
That's right. Ain't no shirts, ain't no clothes, ain't none of that stuff considered emergency. Emergency, and I appreciate you bringing that up because a lot of people don't understand what emergency funds are really for. Or some people do understand and they just need to hear that it ain't for what you've been using it for.
That's right.
Emergency funds is for emergency 911 event. Car suddenly breaks down, or like you said, a tire flat or ER emergency room unexpected trip. These are emergencies, the heater go out, AC unit go out in your house,
That's right.
emergency, something that emergently has to be fixed because it could be, a health reason, health issue, reason, or, life issue, life or death situation, or, something like that. It had to be emergency, not a want.
That's
So
right.
when you save up this money, or whatever the case may be, it's for your emergency.
It is.
So this is what we have to focus on next, you guys. This is why it's important that we do not uh uh relieve what I said it was brief relief.
Brief
This is
relief.
why we make it a brief relief, not a long-term relief, because long-term relief can lead up to being comfortable, right? and that I'm out of debt. I can manage it better now. I got myself situated, so I'm gonna do this, do that. And you get out of step, you get out of formation, right? And you go to doing other things. And then when life happens, then you don't have a life happen account to help you out when life happens. So we have to be focused on the next step is the emergency
Emergency
fund.
funds.
And and now I will say this here before we go to I don't forget to pray moment. I will say this here. In your emergency funds, if so happen that you have to use it, if emergency does happen, right? Because after the emergency fund, then you're moving on to, savings and stuff like that. Yes, savings and emergency fund is different. We did a show on that. We're gonna come back around and do it again. But savings and emergency funds are two different things.
Two different things.
So therefore, if you have built up your emergency fund, Josh, I got my emergency fund already there. I got my 3 to 6 months. Now I'm moving towards savings or whatever the case is. So when you get to, your savings or whatever the case may be, and something happens, right?
Yeah.
And you have to use an emergency fund, what do? You stop everything you're doing to get that emergency fund back in order. Always want to keep that emergency fund in order, guys. So listen, let's move to this here. Don't forget to pray moment. Hey, it's another segment that we added to the show. It's your Don't Forget to Pray moment. We got Sharon over here. Tell them why they don't need to forget to pray.
Yes, today's Don't Forget to Pray moment is brought to you by your girl Katrina at Motivated to Shine. You can reach her at www.motivatedtoshine.com. It's time to shine. Also, I want to leave with you today a scripture. 3 John 1 and 2. Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prosper. Again, today's Don't Forget to Pray moment is brought to you by your girl Katrina. Now back to today's podcast.
All right. Thank you for that Don't Forget to Pray moment. But we always need to pray. Hey, listen, when you're dealing with these finances and these bills and these collectors running you down and hounding you, sometimes you need to pray, because you got to pray what to say, because you don't want to say the wrong thing. So don't forget to pray, you guys. So listen, so back to topic at hand. Focusing on
Emergency funds.
your emergency funds. This is what's next. So this is the big picture. Here's the big picture. We have gotten ourselves into a lot of debt. We have gotten ourselves into a situation where it's almost seemed hopeless. It almost seems like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It almost seems like year after year, every year, we just keep finding ourselves wishing that we could get ahead, but we don't have the means to get ahead, don't know how to get ahead. Well, listen, you guys, this works for us and this helps us get ahead. We're not rich. Matter of fact, I don't even really care to be rich. I want to be financially stable. I want to be wealthy enough to be able to be a lender and not a borrower. You understand what I'm saying? I want to be able to pay bills, reoccurring bills, not with credit cards. I don't need the lender's money to pay my bills. I want my own money. Somebody say my own money.
My own money.
And it feels better when you have your own money.
That's true.
Right?
It does.
And so listen, we got a long ways to go with this, and we're gonna keep on, coaching with you guys as we coaching with ourselves on getting through being debt free, building wealth. Because over here at Let's Conversate with Josh and Sharon, it's all things
wealth.
Yes, with us, it's all things wealth. And the all thing wealth is that big umbrella. Y'all always keep that image in mind. It's that big umbrella. And with that big umbrella, there's many umbrellas up under the big umbrella. There's savings, there's
managing,
yes,
diversity,
absolutely,
giving, creating.
All this stuff falls up under the big umbrella, all things wealth.
That's right.
And God blesses us, that we can be cheerful givers, and He blesses us with resources and things that we need. But I want to remind you, faith without works is dead.
It's dead.
So we have to
put in the work.
You can sit there all you want and say that, well, I wish that things was different for me, and God will make things better. I'm tired of being broke. I'm tired of being busted. And I'm tired of being disgusted. But if you never put forth an action, then you keep doing the same thing. You're going to pretty much keep getting the same thing you've been getting. So listen, if we just practice these steps and we take it into account. Now, listen, you're gonna have to suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You're suffering
Suffer a
anyway,
while. Huh?
right? You're suffering anyway. You're being hounded. You never had no money. You can't go on vacation. You can't do nothing. Without credit card. If you can't do nothing, I feel like if you can't do nothing in your life without a credit card,
Mhm.
then I feel like that's an issue. Then I mean we don't really have nothing saved up, and we work to pay off debt. Man, it got to be more to life than just that.
It is.
You
It
know,
is.
you know, and there is more to life than just that. I don't feel like that we should be living check to check. I feel like we should have a strong savings. I feel like we
We
should
should
have a
have more
strong
than enough.
right. Absolutely, we should have more than enough. Our cup should overflow.
My
Right.
God. Yes.
So we should have enough to be able to give and not even have to look for it back. You
Amen.
know, bless, and bless, your brothers and your sisters, bless the widows, bless the orphans, bless people, be that light, at the top of the hill that those that are traveling their way, they can see your light shining at the top of the hill and they have a path to follow, following us as we follow Christ.
Amen.
Absolutely. So that's what we're about over here. Let's conversate. Hey, let's do these shout outs, get them out the way. Absolutely. All right, it's time for these shout outs once again. Listen, if you're in the Orlando area, New Chief Cornerstone, they are located at 820 South Park Avenue, Winter Garden, Florida, under the leadership of Dr. Clarita M. James and Pastor Norman James. If you're in that Orlando area and you need a church to attend, stop in. Tell them Josh and Sharon sent you. Also, Christ the Redeemer Ministry, 4721 East Moody Boulevard, Palm Coast, Florida, under the leadership of Apostle Robert and Betty Davenport. Listen, stop in. If you're in the Palm Coast area, see Pastor Davenport. Listen, if you want to church here in Tennessee, the Church of Churches, yes, that is none other than New Hope Church of God in Christ, 303 South University Street, under the leadership of Pastor Anthony and Lady Graham. This is a church of churches where you can clap your hands, stomp your feet. Come on to New Hope. Yes, New Hope. Also, we want to just thank everybody that supports us, that always show love to this podcast. We thank you wherever you are. It means the world to us. So keep liking, subscribing, and sharing. All right. So yeah, so the main thing here is just, like I said, before we went into that, is to look at the big picture.
Yes.
Right? You guys, it will work if you just put forth the effort, to make your financial situation a better situation.
Yes.
If you put forth an effort. Listen, I push this all the time. Write the vision and make it plain. You got to write the vision. You got to have a map,
of where you're going.
Yeah, GPS, right? You have to have a destination and a route plan to get to that destination. And as we follow the route plan, there are sometimes obstacles that's going to be in the way. There are going to be hiccups. There are going to be detours and all this stuff on the route to get to the final destination. And the final destination here is what?
All things wealth.
That's our final destination. So to get to all things wealth, sometimes we have to clean up some things. There's, some things we have to straighten out and get things lined up and set in order. To move forward.
That's right.
There's no football team that just gets out on the field, in organized sports, that just gets out on the field where
Without
they have not developed a game plan, right? And they practice, practice where they were able to make their mistakes, whatever the case may be. You made your mistake. Okay, now it's time for the game. So therefore, the game plan should be developed, meaning that you have wrote down exactly, right, what you are planning on doing, what you got to do, what you got to accomplish, how you're going to accomplish it and everything. So if you don't have a game plan, then look at these YouTube channels with different ones. We're hoping you're looking at us and liking and subscribing to our channel and all that stuff like that, hitting the bell notification. and following us with what we're doing, because we're not some rich people that just coming at you or whatever the case may be and trying to tell you how to do life, whatever. We're actually living
We're
this
living
stuff
this.
right now. So it ain't gonna be perfect, you
It's
know.
not.
And everything that we say might not be perfect. That lets you know we are just real people, dealing with real issues. We just having a conversation about it or whatever the case may be. And I felt like it would be selfish of me and you
Uh-huh.
to do what we're doing and we see it's working and we're getting ahead and we
not
don't
sharing
share
with
it
others.
with others. And that's our whole purpose, is to share it with you guys. And we hope that something that we're saying that you guys will like it, and subscribe to it and share it and pass us along to others that that we can say something that will be influential in their lives.
It's true.
You know what I mean? And like I said, we don't have all the answers, and we're not even acting like we got all the answers, but we just real people dealing with real issues. So listen, the big picture is knowing that you're on your way. Say it to yourself. I'm on my way
I'm on my way
to
to
all things wealth.
all things wealth.
Yes, listen, all things wealth, everything is, okay. We ain't worrying about the bill collectors hounding us down. You know what I mean? We ain't worrying about
We
not
ain't
having
worrying
a
about trying to
savings account.
live like the Joneses.
Nah, we ain't trying to live like the Joneses, man. The Joneses outdated. I've been hearing about the Joneses since I was a little boy. Yeah, they live in them old houses and stuff, like them houses. You ever seen Family Matters when it first come on with the Steve Urkel show? And it showed it's a rare condition this day late reading the newspaper. Yeah, that you know how they show the houses?
Yeah.
Yeah, the old house. That's where the Joneses live at. We ain't living over there. Hey, we just like to have fun, you guys. Hey, it's been fun, but y'all know what time it is. Listen, it's very important that you get rid of all your debt first, right? Pay that debt off. Start with the smallest, work your way to the biggest. Attack it, attack it, attack it.
And when you're done paying off all that debt and tackling it, then you can always celebrate yourself.
You can celebrate yourself, but a brief celebration. You know why it's a brief celebration? You know why?
Why?
Because it's still work that got to be done. We're still on the battlefield. Listen, after you done paid off all your debt, you done fought off all your enemies, it's time to rearm yourself. Somebody say rearm yourself.
Rearm yourself.
How do you rearm yourself? By getting 3 to 6 months of emergency funds. 3 to 6 months of emergency fund. What is emergency fund? Emergency fund is that life happens fund, right? Your emergency fund is your reoccurring bills, your mortgage note, your rent note, your light bill, your car insurance. Those are reoccurring bills, and that's what your 3 to 6 months is for. If an emergency happens, if a life moment happens, then those emergency funds will cover your monthly expenses. But hopefully you never have to use them, right?
That's right.
And it could just sit there and,
build up.
However. But anyways, it's been fun.
It has.
We'll come back to this again. So until next time, tell somebody.
To tell somebody.
When Josh and Sharon is on, y'all enjoy your week. And until next time,
Bye.
We'll be talking to y'all. Deuces.